Welcome. We are visiting the values of the Constitution of India. Our visit is concentrative about the values of the judicial systems under the Constitution of India. From today, we are taking up human factor in reference to the values of justice delivery systems. India is a union of states. We are taking up Haryana as state of Indian Union. Haryana came into existence in 1966. This period from 1966 till today is a short period in the context of the history timescales. However, as it is more intimate to us and as its factual data is intimately available to us, so it makes a very good case study. This case study of the Haryana judicial setup is being taken up. We have taken this study in a very specified frame, and this frame is the life growth of Justice S.D. Anand, who is completing 50 years of his participation in the judicial setup of the state of Haryana. This case study is going to be a very valuable study, as fortunately we are having 3 books of Justice S.D. Anand, and above all, Justice S.D. Anand has very kindly accepted our request to help us, provide us more insight about the different realistic situational happenings elaborated in these books. And also, in addition, he has also very kindly agreed to give us more and more insight, honest description, truthful chase of the way human factor weighs the ultimate justice delivery system is to be evaluated, to be indexed, to be viewed, to be appreciated in terms of the human factors involved, may it be in the form of the judge, judicial officer, the presiding officer, may it be the liars, may it be the parties, may it be the witnesses. All these factors ultimately are the human factors. The idealism of the statutes on the one hand, and the reality of human factors on the other hand, are two extreme banks of the same river, The Justice River is sandwiched between the idealism of the statutes and the human factors involved. It is normally said that the ultimate justice is done by the nature. It is a God made system. However, in reality, on earth, we human beings have also coined, invented, nurtured, nurtured, developed, and have a human law made justice system. Our concentration in this case study is to remain upon the human factor. Our justice delivery system in the state of Haryana context under the Constitution of India is be taken as an ideal setup of the statutes and the realistic limitations of the human factors. Justice S.D. Anand has written 3 books. Barring the facts, the prism in his mind is a autobiographical narration, and living in vestibule, an existential dilemma of justice delivery system, are further elaborations, expressions of the way he has been in the midst of the justice delivery system participant. In one way or the other, the participation as expressed by Justice S.D. Anand in these books and in his further lectures bring us face to face with the realistic picture of how the justice system functions and how the human factor plays its dominant role. So, while we shall be appreciating, while we shall be imbibing the values and role of human factor in justice delivery system under the Constitution of India, these values are much educative, as these also bring us face to face with how we shall reshape our law education, how we shall reshape the selection process of the judges, prosecutors, investigating officers, how we shall reshape the training of the judicial officers as well as of the public prosecutors and investigating officers. This also will provide us an opportunity to revisit as to in what way liars have to reorientate themselves, how the liars also can continue enriching their knowledge of law as well. Further, this case study will also enlighten us as to how the judicial setup progresses, how the judicial setup deteriorates, how the judicial setup acquires new dimensions, in what way the judicial setup progresses, deteriorates, enriches, transforms, is of immediate concern to us as lawyers, as students of law, as research scholars. Our concerns of political, economic, and social justice as values, as principles, as core features of our Constitution, as well demand that we shall ever remain conscious about the judicial setup. Haryana judicial setup, because of its short existential range beginning from 1966 and up till this day, the day on which there is Haryana, Punjab, and other states' farmers' agitation at the borders of Haryana with Delhi, the issues being raised having also an immediate concern with the judicial setup, how the new setup of courts envisaged regarding the contract forming disputes as well brings us face to face with as to how we are having our aptitude towards the growth of the judicial setup in the state of Haryana. The Constitution of India is having its core values intact, preserved, lively, and the entire superstructure is to be parallel with the flow of these transcendental features of the core of our Constitution. Of these core values, the judicial setup values make a central place. Judicial setup is to be as per the values enshrined as core values of the Constitution of India. Justice is not only to be at the substantive laws platform, but the same also is to be at the procedural steps as well. The civil judicial courts set up on the one hand, and the present vision of having SDMs courts on the other hand, naturally are confronting us as to whether this new deviation is permissible under the Constitution at all. Like this case study will bring us face to face with how the judicial officer his family environment, his economic status, and all other connected aspects have to be weighed, have to be visited, have to be appreciated, and in the context, we have to have our appreciation of the justice as per the judgments delivered by the judicial officers as human beings. The entire setup deserves to be visited once again in the reference of the presiding officers being human beings, the public prosecutors as well are human beings, the investigating officers as well are human beings, the witnesses as well are human beings, the adversary parties litigation as well are human beings. So human factor is the most prominent factor. In fact, ultimately, it is the only factor, as the other factor is just an idealism, the idealism of the statutes. Unless and until the ideal values of the statutes are properly imbibed by these functionaries, the same are naturally to remain dry branches of justice delivery system. The dry branches of the delivery system on the one hand, and the lively trees on the other hand, are to be distinctively appreciated, and it is for this appreciation that this case study is being taken up. These three books, barring the facts, the prism in its mind, which is autobiographical expression, should be taken up first. Otherwise, as well, chronologically, too, this is the first book of Justice S.D. Anand. It is followed by Lively Investitubule, which is of the year 2014, and then the third is of year before, 2019, Existential Dilemma of Justice Delivery System. Once we will be through these books, and once we will arrange it chronologically, and once we will be tabulating the different phases, different events, different phenomenal situations, then we will be in a position to have an overall view and the basic approach for having appreciation in terms of this case study about the role, contribution of the human factor in the justice delivery system in general, and particularly in reference to the Haryana judicial setup. This study has many advantages, but the case study is to be properly framed. Its approach and its phases are to be sequenced, and sequencing shall be not only chronologically arranged, set up, the same also shall be as a living phenomenon. Human factor, in fact, is a living phenomenon. The efficiency or inefficiency, honesty or dishonesty, truthfulness or untruthfulness, sincerity or otherwise, faithfulness or otherwise, all these features, all these values are life phenomenon. These are living situations. These are awakening situations. These are not only logical expressions of intelligence, but the same are also the manifestations of the consciousness. We human beings are not only governed by the intelligence, our life is also regulated by the consciousness. Therefore, while we shall have appreciation of a human factor in reference to particular individual, then we also have to view the same by formatting it in terms of intelligence field as well as in terms of the consciousness field of the concerned individual. However, to reach from intelligence field to consciousness field, there is going to be a very challenging exercise, and it is in reference thereto the present case study is having many facilitating features and factors as we are having the written expressions in the form of these three books of Justice S.D. Anand. In addition, as Justice S.D. Anand has very kindly agreed to share his feelings, thoughts, experiences, wisdom, projections, idealism, and how he looks back, introspects, and revisits all what he has already expressed in these books. So this is going to be to our advantage, and we must avail this advantage. It is this advantage of the present case study which, if is encashed properly, the same, I think, will be of very great help to us to have an appreciation of the role of the human factor in the justicing systems, in the idealism of the statutes, appreciation, and all that. Every factor, every feature of the judicial setup of state of Haryana as such comes under analytic views. This analytic approach is going to be of great help to us, and I'm sure that if we will chase this case study, it will make us more enlightened scholars, as this case study will further help us visualize as to how the justice system is to be analyzed in a realistic manner, how the judge's mind is to be read, how judge's intelligence is to be evaluated, how judge's consciousness is to be invoked, and how we can make our justice system as more human in character. Man cannot be a god, but as man is the best creation of the God, so all best what can be expected can be had. So whether we are conscious that we have to exhibit ourselves the best we can, and the same as per me can be appreciated only in terms of the justice which flows from the pen of the human beings as judges. Many times there are voices, very loud voices, as that our courts are not coming up to the expectations. Then naturally, each one of us have to introspect, and the introspection should be as that what can be there but is not there. So what can be there as human being in the realistic frame will be exhibited in the present case study. Justice S.D. Anand is a fourth generation lawyer. So the state of Haryana, which came in existence in 1966, and Justice S.D. Anand occupied the judicial chair in 1970. Therefore, this parallel participation in itself is of much beneficial for the present case study being undertaken. Further, as Justice S.D. Anand is a fourth generation lawyer, so it will naturally take us to the 1 century living phenomenon, and this 1 century living phenomenon is naturally of much beneficial for having a chase of the growth of Haryana judicial setup in the historical background of Haryana being part of Punjab, and the Punjab being part of the pre-independence Punjab, and all historic factors connected therewith are simultaneously within vision of this study. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.